Hey everybody. So I've decided to try to do a video as part of this week's DayZ update. Basically in an effort to try to put a little more meat and a little more content into it and make it a little more interesting for everyone who's been coming to check those out. So hopefully this will go well. We'll see. For those of you who saw the test video I did earlier in the week, you know that that ended in a dirt nap. So what I'm going to need to do is start over again and maybe play a little more cautiously and with a little more patience than I did there. But also, now that I have the video and the audio settings worked out and kind of everything the way that I want it, uh, I know that this is going to turn out at least reasonably well from that standpoint. So let's see how it goes. Doe. So I've managed to end up on a pretty dark server. I wouldn't call this nighttime. It looks like this is dusk. Uh, yeah. This could be interesting. I'm going to continue filming for a little while just to see what happens, but I may need to scratch this and try to find a server with a little more daylight. We'll see. So I'm going to move here out of the water and start heading towards these structures, see what I can see. So I've paused here because I believe I hear some zombie ag. Let's see if we can get in a little closer. I think that may have been a false alarm. So moving on. So I guess the one upshot to being here in the dark is I'm a lot less visible. So unless somebody sees me kind of silhouetted against the ocean, they're going to have a hard time spotting me. Alright, we start to get into a more interesting area here. Kind of missed it whenever the login occurred because I was distracted by the fact that we were on a dark server, but if I had to guess, I would say this is maybe Komarovo. Oop, that's some definite zombie sound there. Let's get our creep on a little bit. Try to move away from that. Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Balota as well. It's possible this could be Balota. Oh wait, here we go. Let's see this train station. Yeah, I believe that's Balota. So, good news is I know that, for example, this building over here is enterable. Maybe there might be some loots in there worth grabbing. Just need to be careful not to ag anything since I am unarmed at this point. But again, in the dark, it should be relatively easy to avoid that. Alright, so that's opened up. What do we have here? toolbox. Very potentially useful, although not so much here in the early stages of the game. But if I find some barbed wire that needs to be disassembled or something like that, very handy to have that. So I will not complain. The other bad thing about it being dark like this is it's very easy to potentially miss a loot pile. So I'm going to be a little bit cautious as I move around in here to make sure that I look at all the spots that could potentially have stuff. There's the door. Check this back corner real quick. Alright, so, getting a toolbox is cool. I'm into that. Let's see if we can double back a bit and head back to that train platform, because there might be some stuff there as well. So for anybody who's wondering, and you can see it from the zombie population, I'm currently playing on a server with about 20 players on it, maybe slightly more. I kind of have mixed feelings about it, because obviously if I'm here trying to capture video and trying to make something reasonably entertaining for people to watch, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm likely to get capped constantly. But I also don't want to, be a punk about it and just troll an empty server for loot. So I want to be in a place where it's possible that I could have an encounter, but maybe not highly likely. And we'll see how it goes. If I end up doing these on a consistent basis, I may go for some higher population servers at some point. Maybe mix it up a little bit, try some different things. For right now, though, this just seemed like the way to go. So nothing on this platform, which is disappointing, but not surprising. Now, I know Balota here is kind of one of those weird towns where there's a ton of buildings here, but not very many enterable ones. And I think actually this side of town in particular is pretty slim on enterable buildings. So what I'm going to do is follow these tracks a bit and try to head over to that side of town where I think there may be some more options. I'm really not very confident in how good this video is going to be with me running around in the dark, but at least I'm able to see a little bit, and hopefully this gives you enough context to see what's going on. There's clearly a zombie ahead in front of me, that's why I'm doing this slow strafing movement, just trying to kind of put him off to one side so that when I crouch run again, he's well out of range. So again, going into the trees here, it's going to make me a lot less visible for anyone who might be lurking about. I'm going to try to head inland a little bit, because one thing about Balota is it's the town adjacent to the southern airfield, so there is some potential to maybe get some military spawns here if I can kind of sneak my way into the airfield area without being detected, and perhaps take advantage of the darkness a little bit to maybe get some interesting loot. So as you can see over there, we've got some hangars. Now my general philosophy on hangars is that for the most part they aren't really worth investigating. Like, we can go check these out just to make things interesting, but I'd say easily, 9 out of 10 times, or maybe even say 19 out of 20 times that I've gone and checked out hangars at an airfield, there's really never been anything of interest in them, and it's really a good way to jeopardize yourself by kind of putting yourself in a big wide open area that people are likely to be monitoring. So I kind of have mixed feelings about doing this, but we'll see what we can see. Maybe we'll luck out. And once again, being here in the dark has pros and cons because it's not very easy for them to see me, but it's also not very easy for me to tell what's going on here. Looking for any sort of loot pile. I think what I'm going to do is forgo the other hangar for the moment and check out this control tower because it's much more likely to have something of interest in it. At this point, being extremely reckless. Oh, okay, so here's some barbed wire. Perfect example of why finding that toolkit is a good thing. So if I get this just so, I can't get the prompt. Come on, little fella, you can do it. Sometimes this stuff is so finicky. There it is, remove wire. So because I have this toolkit, I'm actually able to remove this barbed wire that people put here to block the entrance and basically do a little community service to remove that so whoever wants to come in here can. Now, since there's no loot pile in the back there, or at least nothing of consequence, and as you can see I can reach that through the barbed wire, so I'm not going to worry about removing that. I'm going to close that. Now obviously those zombies that are outside could just be a result of me coming through this area, or they could be another player moving in. I'm not hearing a lot of movement other than the obvious sounds of zombies kind of creeping along. I'm going to take that 240 and the main reason I want to take that is I believe that ammo can be converted. Actually, I'm not 100% sure about that. I know there's one ammo type, one of these military ammo types that can be converted back and forth to and from DMR. I think it might be M24 actually, not 240. I think that might be the issue I'm having. But yeah, I'm going to grab these slugs just in case I find a Winchester. And try not to... I'm going to take the 240 in my backpack just because I'm really not carrying anything else of value at the moment. So there's some AK rounds. What I basically like to do is just grab any sort of ammo types that seem like they might be useful because... you know, then if you find a gun, you've got something to load it with, right? Because a lot of times you'll find a gun by itself, just like I'm finding ammo by itself right here. Alright, so make sure I'm crouched as I head up here so that I don't make myself too easy of a target. So here's a good example, right? Like, I just picked up that AK mag downstairs, right? But it's unfortunately an AKM mag sorry, here we go. So yeah, I've got an AK mag, but I've picked up an AKM, so it's not gonna match up, right? I've got 5.45 by 39 millimeter, so this goes into an AK-74, but not an actual AKM. And you can see the caliber difference in the bullet type, which is why this is not going to work out for me. So this actually gives me a moment to look at some of this. Okay, so this, I know this, 4 of these will convert into something. I forget what it is. Like I said, I think it's M24 rounds. And let's see, this is M249, M4, M16. Yeah, so the stand egg is important if you ever pick up any of these guns. That's what will fill them, basically. It's their 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO standard rounds, which is why it's works in so many different guns, because it's kind of the universal standard that all those different countries use for their ARs. Anywho, moving on. So I've got this AKM, but I don't have any bullets for it, so it's kind of a moot point at the moment. Like, actually, I'd probably be better off putting this in my backpack, honestly, because if someone sees me running around with this, they're going to assume that I have bullets for it and automatically perceive me as a greater threat. So what I think I'll probably do is just go to my inventory and open up my backpack and move that AKM into it. So that in theory, that should not be in my pack. Which, a weird thing about the inventory system in this game is that you can't just open your pack and see it visually under normal circumstances. The only way you can do that is if you're actually at a loot pile. So like now I'm at a loot pile, right? So I can open my bag and see whether or not that's in there. So it's not. And probably it didn't have room to fit in here because of the 240 rounds that I had. Now, the real danger of dropping a gun like that indoors when you're not on a loot pile is that there's a lot of glitching that happens in the game where when you drop a weapon, it will fall through the floor potentially and end up on the ground underneath the building in a place where you can't get it. So basically what I've done by dropping that AKM upstairs is to basically lose it, because it probably, what happened was wherever I dropped it, it fell through the building and landed somewhere on the ground underneath the building where it can't be picked up again. But again, no real great loss because, as I said, I have no bullets for it, so couldn't really do anything with it but get into trouble. So things are going about as I would have expected in a situation like this. You know, as I said, areas like this tend to be really high risk for a potentially high reward, but you got to go into it knowing that you're going to be in competition with people for the resources in a place like this. There's a good chance you're going to encounter other people and run into trouble. And you may come to a place like this and take a big risk and not really come out of it with anything of substance. So you always have to bear that in mind. Oop. Some zombie ag, which I'm going to need to ditch before I can go check out this, oops. Yeah, he's very much on me. I may have to run him back to the ATC and lose him that way. Oh, and of course, the first hit he lands on me makes me bleed, which is really annoying. I've noticed that lately sometimes that doesn't happen, where like you can take a couple of hits on a new spawn before you'll start bleeding. But more and more lately, it seems to be the norm that when you initially get hit by a zombie, you're going to take some bleeding damage of some sort. And so this is bad trying to do this at night, you know, trying to find a, man, that shadow glitch is really annoying. There's some stuff in there, I think, but I can't really stop to deal with it right now. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to run into this hangar, because the zombies won't be able to run in here, and it's very dark. Whoa, how is he moving that fast in here? I'm supposed to be able to do that. Interesting. I wonder if that's a change, or if that's just a glitch. Anyway, I'm gonna bandage myself real quick now that I've sorta lost him. Yeah, I think that must have just been a glitch where he was just rubber banding to me, because he obviously doesn't see me anymore. I'm just going to creep back into this corner. Try to stay away from him so he doesn't react. But anyway, I think the more I'm realizing the kind of stuff that's happening here and what I'm talking about, I'm thinking I'm probably just going to trash this video, because this isn't really particularly cool. Watching this at night. See if there's anything in here. What I'll probably end up doing is just respawning and killing this character and starting off on another server, try to get in the light. What I'm probably going to have to do is do that, like go into a server, see if it's light, then despawn and be able to do my little intro bit on the spawn screen. Yeah, crappy loot situation here for the most part. You know, I'm gonna adjust a setting here while I'm at it and see if I can help limit some of that shadow glitching. So I believe this defaults to high normally. Let's see if that... Yeah, that's much better. Right, so that's clearly a glitch in the way shadows are being rendered. So it's probably good that I found that. Alright, so as long as I'm continuing here for the time being, let's just investigate this area a little more. Pepsi's important. G17 mag could be useful. There's another Stan egg. I'd like to find an M16 or something that would take that. Here we go. Take that hatchet for sure, because that at least gives me something to defend myself with. In fact, let's take this opportunity to equip said hatchet. And now, since that's in the primary weapon slot, I can reload it. And now I can swing and do what I need to do to defend myself if necessary. So there are some deer stand / watchtowers over here on the other side of these trees that I think are probably worth checking out while I'm here. I'm kind of waffling a little bit on my theory as to whether or not this video is worth keeping, because at least I'm still alive and at least I'm finding stuff and able to talk a little bit about what I'm finding. You know, I've definitely mentioned the hatchet in the test video, but I feel it bears stating that the hatchet is probably one of the most useful items in the game, just in terms of its general utility and the fact that you can use it as a weapon and as a tool. And that it's much more effective as a melee weapon than the crowbar, which is the other real alternative to it. So here we have these medical tents, which ironically never have any medical supplies in them, but they are surrounded by these guard towers, which, oops, Hey, little guy. What's up? So he's dead. Using the sandbags to my advantage there. So basically there's a certain point of entry where you can just climb over these bags, but for the most part this is guarded by barbed wire and whatnot. Can't remember if this is traversable. No. But there's also like a main entry point over this way, which I will make my way toward. Since there's one of these towers on each of the four corners of this little area, it doesn't really matter that I'm having to make my way over here. I think I just heard a zombie kind of scream in pain, which is either an indication that it hurt itself by falling off of something, or that somebody hurt it, perhaps with a hatchet, in the way that I just hurt that other one. So I'll need to be a little careful. There might be another hatchet-wielding person running around here trying to do the same thing that I'm trying to do, which is entirely possible. You know, here in the dark like this, we'd never really see each other unless we kind of roll right up on each other. Again, I really want to take advantage of the fact that I have this hatchet and I can reach across the sandbags with it. That way I can engage the zombies very directly and not have to jeopardize being hit or losing any more blood or anything like that. It's really just the smarter, safer play to deal with them on the outside of the fence like that than to wait until you're actually in here and they're all up in your grill. I'm going to open these guard doors. The other advantage to coming in this way is there is a guard tower right here and a little guard area which could potentially have stuff in it. See, this got pinned by that door because I didn't stand in the right place when I opened it. There we go. So that opened it up, but didn't push me out of the way. So there's a zombie there. Again, you just got to work out the range. You know, I was a little too far away there, but you just tweak it until you get it where it needs to be. And you basically got, oh man, you basically got the ability to practice a little bit with the hatchet in a situation like this because they can't get to you through that wall. So it's pretty much fair game. Open says me. Alright. Now I'm in here. It is really dark here, I will say. Just want to make sure that's... Okay, so yeah, there's the actual loot pile that was for this guard tower. Not to be confused with the zombie, which probably didn't have any loot on him. There was actually like a little loot stack right here where the guard post is. Alright, so I'm going to head over here. Hey, buddy. There we go. Dead and dead. And again, like, that's just them being stuck, you know, at the base of that guard tower. It just basically gives me an opportunity to take them out without much effort. So it's so dark in here, but you can see just enough to get the loot spawn indicator. So MP5 SD, that's a really rare ammo type, which kind of makes me want to backpack it, because if I do find that gun, it would be nice to have rounds for it. Trying to debate whether I want to show what chem lights are like. I mean, that's one opportunity of a dark server like this is I could demonstrate, you know, what a chem light is like and the effect that it has on things, but I also kind of don't want to give away my position here just in case there is somebody else running around here, because for sure that's going to indicate to anyone who might be around that I'm here and kind of dumb, so that might encourage them to come and mess with me. Trying to get the indicator for the ladder here. This is always a tricky proposition. Definitely don't want to fall out of this tower if I can help it. There we go. Yep. And this is just one of those situations where the interface can really get in the way of the experience, because you know, you're just struggling to get it to do anything sometimes. Alright, let me bust over to this one that I know I cleared already. Oh, hello. I'll be 100% honest with you, I didn't even see that guy there. I had no idea he was there until he started wailing on me. But again, having the hatchet, you can be a little more cavalier about things, because especially in a one-on-one zombie situation, oh my goodness, this is a find. So there are various packs in the game. I think what I'm gonna do is just take this. Whoop, yoink. And the downside to that is my coyote pack that I was using probably just fell through the floor of the watchtower. But I almost don't care, because that pack has a much greater capacity. So all I'm really losing there, if I can't recover this pack, is that little bit of ammo that I was carrying. Oh no. See, this is the Jip, right? This is one of the smaller packs. So it's like this cruel twist of fate, kind of, that the game will show you sometimes something that seems like it would be an improvement, but it's really a downgrade. So you kind of have to know the names of things. Oh, hey buddy. To make sure you don't get snookered like I did just there. Okay, that guy just dropped something. You can always tell if the zombies have loot, because they'll have that the little up and down parentheses above and below the gun symbol. That's how you know whether these loot piles are actually worth exploring or not. So I'm kind of bummed that I overreacted there. I should have realized when that pack looked visually small that it wasn't going to be anything great compared to the default pack that I had, but live and learn. Live and learn. Alright, let's go check these other two towers. Hey buddy. You can see it's much more dangerous, you know, to engage them like that, you know, when there's nothing in between you and them. Thank you for offering me that empty soda can, dead zombie. But, you know, it's a risk, but it's not a tremendous risk. You know, as long as you don't get overwhelmed by, say, 2 or 3 of them at a time. You know, one-on-one in a hatchet fight, you're almost always gonna win. You might take a couple hits, you might lose a little blood. You do have the risk of bleeding to concern yourself with, but for the most part, once you get a little practice in with the hatchet, you can be pretty effective with it. Again, there's going to be more zombies here by this tower. Let's see, if you really just nail the timing of it, you know, a one-shot kill with the hatchet is not unusual. It's not like, you know, anything you're going to have trouble pulling off on a regular basis. It's just getting the angle right and getting the timing right, basically. Okay. AK-74 Cobra. Okay, so here's the thing. I know because I checked the ammo types that I had in that backpack, right, or that I was carrying, that AK mag that I'm carrying, I think I'm still carrying it, is compatible with this gun. But the thing is, I don't want to just pick this gun up without first putting the hatchet on the tool belt, because if I do that, the same thing that's going to happen that happened with those other weapons will happen with the hatchet, right? It'll just fall through the it'll fall through the base of this tower, and then I probably won't be able to recover it. But now picking up this gun, I can load it because I had that clip, and now I have a 30 round clip to use on this gun. Now, the problem here in all of this is I'm surrounded by zombies. So unlike the hatchet, where I've basically just been taking them out one at a time, and it's, you know, pretty chill for the most part, if I fire this gun off here, every zombie in the area is going to become aware of me. Every player in the area is going to become aware of me. It's potentially going to be a real bad time. So I need to be very careful from this point forward about whether or not I actually fire this gun. Because I could very easily end up screwing myself here. And especially with it being as dark as it is and as difficult to kind of maneuver around here, I really want to debate whether or not it's worth it for me to actually have the gun out at this point. Because I know I need to go to this other tower and check it, and I know there are zombies there because I can hear them. So it's a real conundrum that I'm in right now. And as we've established, you know, trying to put this into my pack may or may not work. Like, I can give it a shot, right? Like, I can say open pack and try to put this Cobra in there. But I think what's probably going to happen is it's probably going to drop it, right? Because it probably takes up more slots than my bag actually holds. So, but the good news is, because I'm actually on the ground here, what I could do is just say, alright, I'm at the corner of this tent. I'm going to try to do this and see if it does drop it. And then theoretically, if it does drop it, I should be able to pick it back up. So I'm going to open the pack. And if there's room in the pack, this should put it into the pack. Right, so it's there with the 30 round AK that goes with it. So let's see. If I step away from here, is it on the ground? Is it in my pack? Yes, it is. So there was enough room in the pack to put it in there. So now I can switch back to the hatchet, equip it, and now I still have the AK in my pack, so if I really need to pull it out for whatever reason, I can do that, but I can proceed with my stealthy zombie killing method. Because that's the thing, the mistake a lot of people make in this game is they'll say, oh, I've got a gun, you know, I'm just going to immediately go and shoot everything because I've got a gun, and that's awesome. But the thing you have to remember is there's limited ammo. Sorry. There's limited ammo. The guns you're firing make noise. You're going to give away your position when you do that. There's lots of consequences to that you need to be thinking about before you just cap off on something. You know, it's not necessarily a sure bet or a sure thing that that's what you want to do. Right. Now, I'm not very not expecting to get too much out of this stand, to be honest. I'm just checking it to be thorough. I mean, I got that AK from the other one, and that was a pretty big deal. But oh my goodness, too funny. So here's an AKM, right? Now, I had an AKM before, and as we know, I don't have the appropriate ammo for it, but I'm just going to check the loot pile and make sure there are no clips. Yeah, no clips. So that's really not worth it to me to pick up. I already know I don't have the ammunition to deal with it, but it is funny to have found two guns like that, you know, in two adjacent guard towers. You know, so the situation I'm in right now is basically this. You know, I've pretty successfully looted this area. I can actually... I can't get through here. I know one of these corners there's a gap in the barbed wire. I think it may be that one over there. So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other if you're going to run back over here and go out the main gate or jump the gap in the wall. Let's actually see if I can identify that gap in the wall, because I have a distinct recollection of it being there, but I don't know that I can actually see it in the dark like this. Yeah, so it looks like here there's no actual barbed wire, so I can just step over. You know, and that gives you an option if you're ever coming into this area, because there's some foliage and stuff here. Like if you don't want to make yourself obvious going through that front gate like that, you could attack, you know, or enter this area from this corner where the barbed wire has a gap in it. And as I recall, I think that's the only spot in this whole perimeter other than the front gate that has a gap like that. But anyway, I'm probably going to watch this video back myself and see what I think of it in retrospect. You know, because one thing I will say is I've managed to equip myself to a certain extent. You know, I've got a couple of weapons at my disposal now. I've got some nice items like a toolbox, and I think that pretty much shows to a certain extent how you can get started in a situation like this. Like here I am running around in the darkness, right, basically, and still able to succeed to a certain extent. I mean, I'm by no means decked out at this point, and I'm still in jeopardy of, you know, dying from hunger because I get to find any food, or otherwise running into trouble. But I have kind of set myself up in a sense where if I encounter something at range, I could pull out the AK and deal with it. If something gets in my face, I've already got the hatchet out to deal with it. You know, I'm in a position where I can effectively go in and start thinking about looting some bigger areas. Like right now, I'm kind of heading in the direction of Churn, and I could very well end up there with this gear that I have and be in a relatively decent position to defend myself. Ooh, hey, buddy. Don't be that way. Ooh. Somebody else? Somebody else? Nope. Nope. I didn't think so. So, you know, it just goes to show that you don't need an awful lot to get started in this game and have a fighting chance. Like let's review, right? Like, so I've got, on top of what I had, I found this G17 mag, which I don't have a gun to match it, but whatevs. You know, I got a couple different ammo types readily at my disposal. Of course, the AKM mag is in my backpack with the AKS. You know, so that's there if I need it. I just have to remember to tool belt the hatchet before I pull it out. Otherwise, the hatchet will get dropped, which can be really annoying depending on where you are when that happens. But I've still got my painkillers, still got my bandage, still got my flashlight, but I've also got the toolbox and the hunting knife at my disposal. So, you know, if I wanted to go kill an animal and skin it at this point, I have the tool to do that, where I could get, you know, stacks of raw meat that I could then theoretically cook and be able to replenish some of my blood that I've lost, which would be real nice. You know, if I could find a book of matches at this point, I'd be in real good shape, because then I could go into the forest and hunt an animal, kill it, start a fire, cook up the meat, and, you know, probably if I found a cow or something big like that, get enough blood to get myself, you know, close to 10,000 or maybe even back up to 12,000. So, you know, that's a pretty big deal, and obviously that would address any hunger issue that I might end up having. So, you know, like I said, I'm in pretty decent shape with this character. I'm probably not going to keep him just because I probably will try to respawn and do another video in the daytime just to compare it to this one and see how much more effective and or entertaining it is. But just to show you, you can succeed in this game in the dark. You just need to be maybe a little familiar with it. Maybe it's unfair to say that a new player could come in and do what I just did, but once you've logged a few hours with it and you start to get a sense for what it's like and where things are, it's not unrealistic to think that you could do something like what I just did here. So, since I'm not going to keep this character, as I've just decided that, I think what I'm going to do is go a little crazy. Because what's more fun than going a little crazy, right? So I'm going to grab this Cobra, and the mag for it has automatically come out when I remove that from the bag. So close the bag, and I'm going to load this Cobra up, and let's see what we can do. Let's see what kind of chaos we can cause, because we've got a sight here. This is a military grade weapon, so in theory I should be able to have a little fun with it. So at this point I'm throwing all caution to the wind, when it comes to giving away my position or, worrying about anything. I'm just gonna see if I can have a little fun with this gun. Alright, see him there? Alright, he's down. Nothing on him. So that's 3 rounds right now. Maybe I wasn't the best shot there. Maybe I could have hit him in 1 or 2. But this is a 30-round clip you got to keep in mind. So that guy's in the face. Get a little little full auto action there.
Hey man, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sweet dude. Are you friendly? I mean, that's kind of a stupid question.
Yeah, I'm just screwing around.
Sweet action. Yeah, I kind of see you, sort of don't. I'm towards the coastline-ish.
Yeah, cool. Come over.
I'll pop a chem light for you, but I'm going to trust that you're not going to shoot me. I don't know how much I can trust you, but I'm not going to put that much faith in you there.
Well, it's cool. I'm not going to shoot you. I'm honestly, it's funny, I'm recording a video right now, so you're on my video.
Oh, kick ass.
Yeah.
Are you somebody I've seen before? What's your name?
VT.
Okay. Do you have many videos on YouTube or anything?
No, I'm actually just getting started. I was just doing a little intro for people to show them kind of how to get initial loots and maybe how to do stuff at night, if they've never done it before.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just started out, found a dead body, and picked up this nice Winchester. So I was heading up the coast to see if I could get to none of the big cities, but maybe the airfield. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just checked out the airfield. There's not a lot left there. Although in the deer stands by the medical tents, there is a regular AKM, but no rounds for it. But actually, I was just going to despawn this guy because I was going to go try to do this again on a day server and, let people see it from that perspective. So actually, I'll just despawn here and you can totally have my stuff. There's like, half a clip in this Cobra here.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good luck, and maybe you'll see this video online.
All right, what was your name again?
It's VT. My blog. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my blog. It's vortex-1.blogspot.com.
All right, hang on. Cool. Got it, man. I'll check it out.
Okay, cool, man. I'm gonna despawn. Good luck.
Thanks, man. You too.
So I'm here having to redub the end of the video because, quite honestly, I was just so in shock at the good fortune to have such a convenient example of what I was talking about at that moment that I kind of blew the commentary in the original recording. So I'm going to try to touch it up here a little bit. But that just really goes to show, exactly what I was talking about. I was playing cautiously, creeping around, doing my thing, keeping a low profile, and as soon as I got crazy, as soon as I started firing off rounds and putting myself out in the open like that, sure enough, there's another player right there. And, fortunately for me, that guy was, friendly enough, and the situation kind of set us up in such a way where, he wasn't exactly sure where I was. And, maybe that played into it. He had that Winchester. Maybe he had ammo for that, maybe he didn't. But the circumstances were such that he felt like it was worth taking the risk to communicate with me, to say, "Hey, man, what are you doing, you crazy fool?" You know, and there it worked out for the best for both of us because fortunately for him, I wasn't looking for blood. I'm not generally out there looking to cap other players, so there he just got a pretty decent cache of loot and never had to fire a shot. And like I said, uh, he's there holding a gun, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's got any bullets for that gun. I mean, I walked up to him, and at any point there, if he was packing, he could have shot me, but maybe he didn't actually have that ability. Maybe that was a bluff, for lack of a better term, or maybe he just picked up a gun but didn't have any ammo with it. You never know in those situations. But I will say he seemed like a pretty cool guy. I mean, as much of an impression as you can get from having a little voice chat in a game with someone, he seemed, like he was willing to take the first step and throw the chem light and trust me. So I would think that, if he says he's not going to shoot and I say I'm not going to shoot, I get the impression that that's the way that would have gone, regardless of whether or not he had bullets for that gun. But I think the main point I wanted to make in all of that is that that's the difference between exposing yourself, putting yourself out there in a way that's going to attract attention, not just from the zombies, but from other players, and playing in a more conservative way. And I think that's a lot of what leads to success early in the game, is if you are conservative and you're a little more cautious in what you do and you think about what you're doing a little more, that's going to get you a lot further in the game than just taking advantage of the first opportunity you have and trying to go Rambo style, because that's very rarely, if ever, going to lead to anything good. But this is getting pretty long, much longer than I actually intended it to be, and obviously with the way that ended, I'm definitely going to keep and post this. So, yeah, I think it's time to wrap it up. Peace.